So the news came out very recently that starting in, I think it was October, OnlyFans is going to start banning certain types of not safe for work content on their website. Now, when I say certain types, they're still going to allow people on there to take nude photographs and lewd photographs, I believe it was, and still receive money from the whatever type of degenerate actually pays for pornography. They're going to allow them to still take money from them, but they aren't going to allow certain types of things such as anything that looks like it might be non-consensual and anything that looks like extreme fisting, you know? I don't know how they determine whether or not this is extreme or something, but I think it's just funny reading through like the responses to all of this from all these people who, you know, they made all their money on this and now that they're gonna have to actually go out and find another way of making money, or at least find a different website, you know? I think that the website itself is gonna be digging its own grave, and I think that that's, you know, kind of funny. I honestly don't care about the website. Okay, that's a lie. I do care about it. I think that it's a bad thing. I'll get to that in a moment, you know, and I think that anything that's bad for this website is probably good for us, but, you know, the thing is, I think it's just funny thinking about how, like, it's following the same path that Tumblr did a long time ago. You know, I don't know if you remember Tumblr, but the thing with Tumblr was that a lot of people used it for a lot of different things. One of them was pornography, though. So they had Tumblr, and eventually, at some point, Tumblr got bought out by a bigger company. I can't remember if it was like Yahoo or Verizon or something like that, but they got bought out, and then immediately after that, they banned pornography, and everyone just stopped using it. Everyone migrated to other places, artists included, you know, just literally everyone moved over to like Twitter and whatnot. And, you know, I've heard that some people were saying that the reason why they were doing this is the same reason why like Pornhub decided that they were going to ban anyone who wasn't verified from uploading. It was because the Patriot Act a long time ago had this section and this provision in there that said that a payment processor, if they were partaking in any sort of illegal activity, was culpable for it. You know, they could be blamed for it too. So the Patriot Act expired. However, they kind of recycled that provision into some other legislature. So you can still get banned or blamed for it if you are a payment processor. You can still be held culpable for any type of illegal thing that is happening on a service that you're doing business with. So I'm not big on that provision specifically. I'm not big on payment processors, you know, forcing things to shut down to cover their own ass. But at the exact same time, I have nothing but disdain for the website OnlyFans. I have nothing but disdain for anything that tries to legitimize so-called sex work, because I don't believe that so-called sex work is real work, you know. And that's coming at it from like from me. That's coming from someone who is currently right now, you know, I am gonna put this out there for transparency. You know, I'm a NEET, but you know, I've had so-called real jobs in the past, you know. I've been a physical laborer, I've been working at a McDonald's before, I've done plenty of different jobs, but whenever it comes down to it, you know, I'm not necessarily the authority on what's work and what isn't, but I think looking at sex work, as people have referred to it as, is very clearly not any sort of actual work. It isn't real work, and hear me out, it is not real work because it is purely and totally 100% just commodification of the human form. And what I mean by that is it's not work, because even if you're putting in effort to try to create whatever it is, whatever the thing you're trying to make, at the end of the day, you are the product. So sex work has sort of been referred to as this big kind of umbrella terminology for anything from porn stars to prostitutes, effectively. And at the end of the day, both of those, you are just the product. You know, you are the commodity in both of these things. Whoever is doing whatever they're doing on camera, or, you know, in some shady roach motel that charges by the hour, they are the product. It's not, you aren't doing some sort of labor specifically to create some sort of product, you know, something that is going to help society in some way or anything like that. You aren't necessarily providing a good, and the service that you're providing, well, it's a little bit limited, you know, I'm just telling you. I think that it is unoptical as shit, and you'll understand what I mean by that in a moment, because it you know, it ruins your credibility and your further employability. And what I mean by this is, whenever I say that you're the product, I mean that, well, you kind of get used up after a while, you know, I'm just telling you. Like, whenever it comes to porn stars and stuff like that, say that you go into pornography whenever you're young, you're like 18, and then you just do that until you're like 30, and then you hit a wall when you're 30, and then no one wants you in any other scenes or any, you know, productions or anything like that. Something that you need to understand is that, you know, just like whenever I said you're the product, well, anytime that you've you've got this sort of economy that we have, it is sort of based on the product. It's based on the idea that the perfect product meets a need but degrades. So I'm just telling you, whenever you're the product in this sort of thing, you will get replaced at some point. It's not a thing of whether or not you will, it's when. So whenever I say that it is unoptical shit and ruins credibility and employability, well, say that you do that for 12 years, say that you're a porn star and you start working when you're 18 and you keep doing this until you're 30. You carve out a livable life for yourself all that time. Well, then you hit the wall at 30, then or maybe something happens and you decide, well, you don't want to do this line of work anymore. Well, you've basically ruined, your credibility. I'm just telling you, I understand people go by like pseudonyms and, they try to remain anonymous to whatever extent that they can. But more and more we are seeing the ability of like background researching to sort of get to scary levels. I'm just telling you. I am completely and totally certain that within the next 10 years, they're going to start doing like facial recognition type stuff for background checks whenever they go into like a job at McDonald's or something. Because, we're just advancing towards that point more and more. They'll probably take a scan of your ID and then they'll probably try to throw that up on the screen. And then immediately after that, it pulls up what used to be your OnlyFans page or some shit like that. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It ruins your credibility and people don't want to employ people who are in that field of work, all right? This is a very common thing. People hear about this. You've heard about like people who go into teaching, right? People who go into teaching, teachers who go teach at like an elementary school or something. Then it's found out that they did pornography at some point and then they get fired, all right? It's unoptical. It ruins your credibility and employability. Not even to mention if you try to go out and do something that's going to offer like legitimate change. God forbid you try to get into like politics or, activism or something like that. I feel like this should strike a chord with some of these people. A lot of them tend to be more left-leaning. It is unoptical in like a political sense because if anyone is like shit talking you on the internet and you're trying to make a valid point with them and they pull up a video of you like sucking dick or doing some really weird sexual act, it's unoptical, right? And that's not a good thing. So what I'm trying to say here is that it's not viable long term. Anytime that you look into people who are doing what is so-called sex work, like they get out of it after a little bit, it's not viable long term. You can't do it forever. Even if you're trying to produce something like videos or something that you can continue selling, I mean, it's going to get buried at some point. You're going to end up being like replaced. Like I said, you're going to be replaced. And I mean, I'm just going to be as honest with you as I can. I'm going to be as blatant and I'm going to be as blunt as possible. I oppose anything that turns young people like right out of high school, like 18-year-olds, male and female, like into whores. And like OnlyFans and the concept of sex work being real work and all this other stuff is turning people into whores. And I think that is disgusting. And I just listed off a bunch of reasons right here. But to be completely and totally honest with you, I think that it is predatory. I think that OnlyFans and other types of so-called sex work, what would you call it? Enablers, other websites like that, other people in general, people who just advocate for this type of shit, they are predatory because, they prey on like these young people. They just got out of high school. They're only adults legally, I'm just telling you. Whenever I was 18, I was still doing dumb shit. I'm 20 right now. I still do dumb shit. But at the exact same time, you gotta understand these people are just right out of high school. They don't know what they want to do with their life. Half of them are still trying to struggle with whether or not they want to go to college or something like that. It is predatory. It is undeniably predatory. And I think that is disgusting. It's a disgusting business model. And it's part of the reason like why people will start doing this. Then they find out they can't get another job because they fucked up and they had their face plastered all over them doing weird sexual shit on the internet in front of everybody. And then they find out that they can't get another job, so they just go right back into pornography or something like that. And it's a problem that keeps feeding itself, You got to pay the bills somehow, and whenever you take into account that the way that our economy works, it facilitates and it necessitates wage slavery. Well, say that you start working as a so-called sex worker, and then you find out, well, I want to get into a different job because this isn't paying me the type of money that I expected I would. Well, then you start going out, try to get a job. It's like, well, what have you been doing the last couple of years? Well, you aren't going to tell them that you were doing sex work or something like that. Let's face it. Come on. It is a system that necessitates wage slavery, and I'm just telling you, if you go into trying to be a sex worker, well, it effectively necessitates that you're going to be trapped being a whore until you find some sort of of like some sort of catch-all end-all to get yourself out of it, and I don't know if you're ever going to be able to dig yourself out of that hole. In terms of it though, like I said, I think that OnlyFans is going to be digging their own grave with this, and I think that that's a good thing. You know, rest in piss, you won't be missed, and really that's all that I've got to say about this. That's about it for this video. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, well, I do daily uploads. You can subscribe if you want to check those out. Hit the bell if you want. I don't really care if you do, just get those numbers up. If you like this video, why not give it a like? Definitely helps with the motivation and the algorithm. If you want to check out my Twitter, it's twitter.com/Hale_Keezer. And I am selling NFTs. If you want to click the link in the description, you'll find my Hic et Nunc page, and you can check those out. That's about it for this video. I've been Keezer. I've never been good at outros. I'll see you next time.